Okay, everybody, a little recap of the lesson today. So I'm on page 477. Page 477, okay? So we talked about, again, we're talking about the absolute value function, and it is a function. And that's our main, that's why we at y f of x. We use f of x because f of x means it's a function. It's a function with respect to x, okay? So we talked about if you reflect it across the x-axis as a function, it's negative f of x. As an equation, it's just y equals negative absolute value of x, okay? If we have a horizontal translation to the left, it's going to be opposite inside, and then up 3. So we wrote it as f of x plus 2 plus 3. And then as the equation, we just used the absolute value of x plus 2 plus 3. Vertical stretch of 2, but reflection over line y equals 0 is going to be a negative 2 times the f of x. But as equation, it's just y equals negative 2 absolute value of x. Vertical dilation and reflection of a line y equals 3. It's got to have a negative 2. There we go, because it does flip. So you're going to go up 3, and then it's going to be reflected, so it's going to be negative. So negative 2 f of x plus 3, and this should be a negative also for the equation. The next one, it says to the right 3, so it's got to be the opposite inside. Dilation of 1/2 and 2 down. So that's the function, but as an equation we rewrote it with the absolute value. Compression of 4 really means to squish it by 1/4. So 1/4 f of x, which same as the equation is y equals 1/4 absolute value of x. Vertical stretch by 4 means 4 times as big, so that's my value of a. 4 times f of x, and so as an equation it's y equals 4 times the absolute value of x. So this is hard with this f of x stuff, but all f of x is just y. Remember, go back. F of x and y mean the same thing for us, okay? And then we took a look at coming up with the equations of these, and we got f of x equals a 1/4 x plus 1 minus 1.5 for this absolute value equation. For b, we started out its absolute value of x plus 1. For C, it's absolute value of x minus 1. And for D, it's going to be, we figured it was 3. So stretch of 3, absolute value of x minus 1 plus 1/2. Then we said, okay, which graph has to go with what? We knew if A is 1, C is 0, it had to go with B. We knew if A is 1, C is 0, but D is less than 0, it has to go with C. We knew if A was bigger than 1, it's got to be a big stretch, so it had to go with D. And we know the C was between 0 and 1, it means it's like a fraction. We knew it had to go to A. Okay, so then we finally talked about what does this mean. If D is less than 0, it takes it down, translation down. If D is greater than 0, it translates it up. If A is negative, it reflects it over the x-axis. If it's between 0 and 1, if A is, it shrinks it. If A is greater than 1, it's a stretch. If C is negative, it shifts it to the right. If C is positive, shifts it to the left. Okay, and that's what we talked about. So that was our lesson, and homework was page 481 and 482. Okay, that's what I had for the day. If you have any questions, come see me.